They had exactly 1 minute to shoot down the longest surviving terrorist of Kashmir, Abbas Sheikh. This was one of the most well-protected terrorists, guided by the highly trained foreign terrorists brought straight from Pakistan-Afghanistan border. Any error in judgment in that 1 minute would have meant death to the military intelligence officer and the para-special forces men involved. The intel officer and his team had been living with the terrorist for months before they set up the perfect trap for the longest surviving terrorist and his deputy. Hello everyone, welcome to Resonant News. Today, we bring to you one of the most daring operations in recent months which took place in Kashmir. The target was Abbas Sheikh. He was on the top hit list of Jammu Kashmir police. Unlike the 90s, when terrorists released the hit list of innocent civilians, now the Indian Army rules the roost. The message is simple. If you have picked up arms against India, you will be packed to the 72 Who's in less than 2 months. But Abbas Sheikh was the only one exception to have survived for 3 decades. So let us first tell you why Abbas Sheikh was an important target. He was one of the most wanted terrorists. Abbas Sheikh was the 17th terrorist from his family to join terrorism. Other members of his family included his elder brother, his sister's son, his sister, who is now arrested under UAPA for indulging in terrorism-related activities. This proves that Abbas has a strong terrorist ecosystem supporting him. He was a strategist and a weapons arranger. He had a knack for it. This is how he was described by the police. He was a father figure in the terrorist circles of Kashmir, involved in the mass brainwash of youngsters in Kashmir Valley. And then, of course, he was involved in many brutal killings. He was arrested and released thrice before he was finally dispatched and eliminated. Abbas had many political bigwigs as his supporters. The operation took 6 to 7 months of preparation, and in about 2 to 3 months after making contact with the terrorist, he was eliminated. That should give you an idea of how well planned this entire operation was. A military intelligence officer and his partner came in contact with Abbas Sheikh while the officer was working undercover. Terrorist organizations are known to conduct thorough background checks of people whom they take under their wings. But the intelligence officer's preparation had worked in his favor, and he came across as a genuine gym freak and a businessman. There were days when the intelligence officer would get called by Abbas Sheikh in a special hideout for a meeting. They used to be inspected by a foreign terrorist and then taken inside the hideout where the meetings took place among the grenades and the assault rifles. Abbas Sheikh was often accompanied by his deputy, Saqib Manzoor, during such meetings. Manzoor was a postgraduate who had joined the terrorist organization in 2020, but he quickly rose through the ranks because Manzoor indulged in brutal killings without any hesitance. Manzoor was a womanizer too, his weakness which had helped the intelligence agencies trace him easily. It is a well-known fact that most of the terrorists are womanizers and have destroyed the lives of many young Kashmiri girls. These terrorists also loved leading a life of luxury, and they would often demand expensive gifts from the intelligence officer, whom the terrorists considered a businessman. They had a shopping list. Abbas Sheikh wanted a treadmill and an iPhone, while Saqib Manzoor wanted an expensive laptop and watches. Due to their interest in shopping trips, initially it was decided to trap the terrorists during one of their trips. This is when the explosive specialists from the Indian Army Special Forces team stepped in. They would place an explosive in the vehicle each time the intelligence officer and his partner had to go out for shopping with Abbas Sheikh and his gang. And once, just before a shopping trip, when the vehicle was being prepared, the plastic explosive, which was being attached by a special forces team, exploded. Fortunately, nobody was hurt, but the explosion was so bad that the four-wheel drive car in which they used to travel had to be replaced. Such errors happen rarely, but there is always a risk of the ID exploding out of turn. The intelligence officer and his partner knew that they could be also blown in an explosion with the terrorist. The risks were too high. The officers were running out of time. The more they lived and interacted with the terrorist, higher were the chances of getting caught. Almost 2 months after the first direct contact with Abbas Sheikh, the intel agents finally got an opportunity. But again, the place where they wanted to meet Abbas Sheikh was a risky one. It was a park where kids would be playing and families will be out for a stroll. Somehow, Abbas and Manzoor agreed to meet them in the park. On D-Day, terrorists arrived at the park with lookouts standing 20 meters away from them. This was close enough distance from where they could have gunned down anyone who tried to attack Abbas. The intel officer and his team of 5, which included special forces, went to the park to meet Abbas and his deputy. The police were duly informed. The Special Operations Group, J&K police, were also sent to the park to prevent terrorists from escaping, but they were dressed in casuals, not to alarm the terrorist. The officer and his team were not wearing any bulletproof jacket for the final operation. They knew if terrorists got suspicious, then it would water down their entire effort. At the meeting spot when the intel officer and his team arrived, Abbas Sheikh expressed displeasure at the new member of the intel officer's team. The intel officer understood that if they don't act fast, the terrorist who had got suspicious may fire at them. A quick signal and the team took out their pistols. Manzoor was quicker to react out of the two terrorists. As he tried to shoot, he was shot down immediately, and Abbas Sheikh was shot twice. Meanwhile, the terrorists guarding Abbas and Manzoor were so shocked that they didn't get the time to shoot back at the intel officer and the para special forces team. Special Operation Group of JKP had promptly taken over the site and civilians were moved out. A well-coordinated team work helped eliminate a terrorist who had been pushing the youth of Kashmir into terrorism. Suddenly there was silence and a sense of victory. The officers and the team involved in the entire operation have now been awarded for their operation.